Record. Good afternoon, friends, neighbors, countrymen, and barrel-chested freedom fighters from all around the world. Hey, this is another Tales from Patrol Base. We've got the illustrious Josh King here. He is a veteran of 5th ID Long Range Surveillance Detachment from 1988 to 1992. They were part of the 105th MI Battalion, and they were some barrel-chested freedom fighters back in the day. So let's get this started. I want to hear all about 5th ID LRSD and your experiences, Josh. Tell us. How'd you
well, first, thanks for having me. I appreciate you letting us do this. Like I think a lot of young Joes during that time, straight out of airborne school, we were waiting on orders, and they're going down 400 guys. They're like, brag, 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 brag. And they hit me and the guy next to me, and it was polk, polk. And so we got orders to polk and went on down, and we're just going to go to a mechanized unit. And we got a guy came to see us right at the end and said, we got this new unit on post. Do you want to try out for the selection phase? When you're 18, you're like, of course, you don't try out for anything. So they took us that morning. They came and picked us up. And I remember this, we got on the bus and the bus driver asked where we were going. We told him, he's like, I'll see you in a couple of days. He's like, I've been taking guys down there for about the last 6 months. And I'm thinking, Lord, I'm not sure what I've gotten myself into. But we got down there and they explained the whole thing, 2-week selection phase, everything from testing land navigation, combat water survival test, weapons qual, road march for time, PT to 70, range standard, just everything. And I just wanted to do it. And we did. And they just dropped the hammer, man. They just smoked us as much as they could to get us to quit. But we made it.
Smoking began.
Yeah.
Smoking light was lit.
That's kind of, how it was. It was and it was a push, especially, I don't know how all the other LRS units did it, but our final task was in the hide site. They put us underground for a couple of days, and we had to watch this road 24 hours a day. It was me and a buddy, and we stayed in there for 2 days. And if you miss that truck, you're out.
Yeah.
And we got all our vehicles, went back, and all the NCOs got together and we made it. So
well,
awesome.
Basically, yeah, Fort Polk's a challenging environment for any type of training. Yeah. Was JRTC down there at that time, or
no? This was it was all 5th ID. So there was JRTC. I think it was in Arkansas. Then,
yeah, it was at Fort Chaffee.
Yeah. And no, so it was straight 5th Infantry Division. We had like a 2nd armored. I don't know all the armor brigades or who they had there, but the post was full, but it wasn't training. It was a working division.
Yeah, because 5th ID was pretty busy in the 80s and 90s.
It was. I was only there, I guess, a couple months, and everything was going on with Noriega, not just cause, but prior to that. So we got sent down with this battalion, 161 battalion out of 5th ID, and then a 7th ID detachment or a group of guys, and got sent down to Panama just for shows of force. And we were down there, through the end of the spring, the summer, all the way up into early winter.
Yeah.
But we left before Just Cause. We went there for Just Cause.
Well, there was I do remember there being a task force there. They had 113s when we jumped into Panama. They had 113s.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was we had 161 infantry rotated out with 46 infantry, and 46 came in, and we're all talking smack. We're going home.
Yeah. What they have you guys doing? Were you doing like show of force, or were you doing reconnaissance and surveillance, or?
I'll be honest, at 5th ID, we're a division asset. At a battalion level, I don't think they really knew what to do with us.
Yeah.
So we weren't even with 5th ID for a long time. We were in our own barracks, over on the other side of the canal. And all we did was run, train. There was a lot of drinking, and things, but basically that's all we did was really PT. There were a couple shows of force, and they attached us either to 193rd Light or to 5th ID. And and one of them, man, I thought it was going to kick off, but we you know, a lot of times they'd spin us up, say we're rolling in the morning, and then in the morning we don't do anything. They shut it down. Well, this time they didn't, and we got in vehicles and we rolled out, went all the way down, like through the middle of this, you know, not the city part, but all these residential neighborhoods, right onto Amador, right over their fences and down the causeway towards Noriega's.
Yeah.
You know,
Picking a fight.
Yeah, and we got down there, dismounted, moved out, and like set up basically a cordon. It's not a cordon because you only have one way in, one way out. And we sat there for about 2 minutes, and there were helicopters and LMTVs and A7s buzzing. It was insane, and they pulled us out.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. It was a lot of just like, I think the U.S. was just fly fishing with the PDF to see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes down to commanders. Really, a lot of commanders just did not know how to use us.
No, and there, I mean, we spent some time like, but I don't think we ever did a real LRS mission. You know, we like pulled security for MI guys, or, you know, we were a dismount, but I'm not sure the battalion level in that environment there. I don't know what we were bringing to the table. I mean, I'm glad I went. I learned a lot, but I don't know if we were an asset for them right there.
Yeah. Well, again, a great asset that's often misused.
Yep. So,
but what keep going on, man? You know, tell us more.
Well, after the, so you got back from Panama, you know, we did regular 5th IDB and heavy. They were on a steady rotation for NTC. So whichever unit went, we have to go and support.
Yep.
And it wasn't bad for us because we would go to the Dust Bowl and we basically hang out, and then we go up to Beacon Hill, set up our tents, and, you know, the helicopters picked us up right there.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of humping those mountains, and setting up by the time daybreak and overwatching the battles, you know, and it was good training. They'd come try and find us, and we'd hide in the rocks, and it was good training, but did a lot of those. And the next real world thing we got was, well, the Gulf War started. So 5th ID painted the whole division tan. And this is a funny story, but myself and a buddy of mine named Isaac Ragusa, who's currently one of the sergeant majors at the Citadel, but Ragusa and I were in line to paint this vehicle, and, you know, it was like 3 a.m. by the time we got there. So we ran it through the paint booth and left, went back and went to bed, and I'm like a PFC. I get woken up by our team leader, called me up there and chewing my ass because I left the spare tire in the back of the vehicle, and when you move it, it's like a perfect bullseye. And my team leader's like, "You're a genius, King. Like, we're going to war and you're painting bullseyes on your vehicle." So we ended up not going to the Gulf at all. And but JTF-6, which was a drug interdiction mission that we was going down at the time, it was all sneaky peeky style, but with the DEA and supported them and local sheriffs. You know, a lot of it was going on down near the border, but we were up north of Alamogordo in the mountains because they were tapping into these big water mains and growing weed. So we did big zone reconnaissance up and down these mountainsides, which is, it's like you go from humping at NTC and now we're humping these mountains. So you know how those rucks are. There's a lot of humping.
Yeah, you definitely got good. But, you know, that was, I mean, looking for drug sites. I mean, that's a reconnaissance and surveillance mission.
Yeah, and I think eventually that whole up there, the whole plan got shut down eventually because, you know, you're not supposed to be locked and loaded on American soils, military police. But there was, I think, a Marine. There was somebody got shot.
There was like a kid herding goats or sheep or something. And he took a pot shot at a rabbit or something, and a Marine returned fire. I remember that.
And that shut it down.
Yeah.
That shut it all down right there. But that's mostly what we did. And we were on regular, you know, training. I mean, the training was hard, but it was awesome because you spend a lot of time in. You go to units where you might have, you know, 25% of the guys can really play Army, you know. And the rest, you just kind of herd sheep in the direction and make sure no one gets killed. But there, it was because we had pick of the litter. That's why it was so different. You know, that selection phase was huge.
Well, I mean, like I said, I remember 2 5th ID LRSD guys from my Ranger School class. And they were studs. And I know one of them came back. I had to go to Benning for something, and I ran into him. and he was teaching over at LRSD. I want to say his name started with a P, and he was a
We said, it's funny, we were launching guys out of that unit, either to SF or a lot of guys went to be RIs. And then I think Sergeant Moore, Holbrook, like a lot of these guys went on, Altieri went on to be RIs there. And we would get RIs. Like we got Sergeant Ken Landry, he was one of my team leaders. Like, you know, you want to talk about why that unit was awesome, was the mentors I got. You know, the people like Ken Landry, Miller, Grimes, and I could go on and on of names that helped me, you know,
be successful.
Yeah. And then by the time you get to a line unit, you know, you're used to doing division level op orders as a PFC. You know, you get to a regular unit, you're like, so we, I'll get to at the end. So at the end, when I got out, I ETS'd. LRS was moving to 2nd Armored Division. Over at Hood. So I got out. Me and about 2 or 3 other buddies got out, and we all ended up going to the same town and just going to college. So we went from the barracks, 2 or 3 of us, like down to this apartment, same dude, and just started jobs in school and stayed together. And like, you know, each one of us had like a divorce that ended up failing, you know, but just life happened after that.
Life does happen.
So tight with those guys, you know, it was
you know, if you live in a hole with somebody for 2 or 3 to 5 days, pooping in an MRE bag, you get kind of close.
You're tight like this. Like this. So I went to, you know, we went there, and like one of the guys moved here to where I live now. I live outside of Charlotte, and he moved up here too. So but I got out, went to work for a TV station, an ABC affiliate, for like 16 years. And then about 5 years ago, went to work for the county government here, just doing videos for them. And it's a much better pace of life than that TV station.
I can hear that. I totally understand that. Well, you know, we were kind of talking before we came on the phone, and you got to talking of, you're the creator of something I'm a big fan of, which is
Little Top. So
Little Top.
That's right, Little Top. My brother joined the Navy. I'm 9 years older than him, but joined the Navy and went Navy EOD. And so all I knew about EOD is they came and got the rounds off the mortar range when they misfired, you know. I didn't know much about EOD. The Navy EOD guys are on top of it. I mean, he was in school for like 2 years before he was operational. Which
they do a lot of stuff besides just EOD, as I understand.
A lot of high speed stuff. But so he went, you know, he deployed multiple times, got out, but we went up to visit a town where all our family was from, in this hotel drinking beer. And, you know, we always are busting each other's balls. But I said, I'm going to record this like we're over in Iraq. So I just recorded us talking smack to each other. And I took that, went back and made the whole cartoon animations. And that's how, and it just took off. People started watching it, and it's led me to so much. I got into, I've worked on multiple sculptures. I got into sculpture. I've worked on World War I monument in France, Navy EOD monument in Norfolk. I'm currently working on a PTSD suicide piece of art that's going to New Jersey. So it's funny where the path takes you sometimes.
It is. And just for those, a reminder who don't, Little Top is basically a small first sergeant. That is, he's hilarious is what it is. Was he based on anybody in particular, or just
he's all mix? You know, it's funny because I only have one voice, and that's Little Top's voice. You know, my brother's like, that's all you got? I'm like, it's all I got, man. But you know, you always take the best of all the first sergeants you had, you know, and kind of all put them into one person. But man, the biggest thing I miss, I retired in 17 out of the Guard. The biggest thing I miss are like the young Joes. Like young Joes do such hilarious, stupid stuff that I had to like just get into that and have, you know, some videos laughing at all that.
Well, I'm sure as a LRS soldier, you surely didn't get into any other hijinks, you know, besides. And Leesville, what is it, Leesville there? Right outside
Leesville.
of Fort
Yeah,
Polk?
Leesville.
That
but we-
is a cultural center of America.
Man, but we tried not to. Now there were some definite Leesville nights, but we started going. We go to New Orleans like every weekend.
Yeah.
You know, we did that a lot.
As a matter of fact, I caused a brownout in Leesville.
How did you do that?
Well, actually, I was in the Nebraska LRS detachment 134th, and this was like 2000, and they had like one Huey left there, and this old National Guard pilot who could fly through anything. Long story short, he extracted us, and they flew us back over to where we're going to do our debrief. And it was really foggy that morning, and you could kind of sort of see the LZ, and you can kind of sort of a place for some Humvees. Like, which one of those is the actual LZ, and which one's the parking lot? And we came into it was the parking lot, and he literally got that helicopter stopped as it bumped into a power line. And then he backed off. He was good. I had the headset on. I could hear him talking like, oh hell, shit. Let's back this thing up. Boom. It was good.
Dude, those old pilots. When I was still at LRS, we would get pilots for like in the summer we do a water week, and so we'd helocast boat ops, road bridges, all that kind of stuff, right? But you get the National Guard guys, and a lot of these dudes are like Vietnam era, you know, at the very end of their careers. Those dudes would chop limbs into an LZ.
Oh yeah.
You know, like a boat. I was like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
dude, I used to love at NTC, you know, they'd pick us up at Beacon Hill and take us, and it was cool because you'd fly through all these wadis, you know, over the front line, everybody, and you know, usually flip them off as you went by, you know.
Infinitely better than the life from the tracks, man.
Way better. And like, I just remember listening to Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden, you know, and flying. And do you remember mini thins? They used to have mini thins at convenience stores.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Dude, it was almost like amphetamine. So like our team leader would give everybody 3 mini fins. I'd put in Number of the Beast, and we'd hit it, boy, because you know you're humping all night.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Well, what positions were you on, or so were you you were a scout in the RTO? Or?
I started out as scout, assistant RTO. I was never an RTO, and I went to senior scout.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you what, man. Every RTO, every guy that was full bullet blown on the RTO I ever met was just smart.
Yeah. Yeah, we had 31, you know, was it 31 Charlies we had there, and that they didn't walk with the team. You'd have 11 Bravo RTO, but we had some real smart guys. I mean, Raymond Reyes, who went on to be Sergeant Major Reyes, probably the most successful of all of us.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, we were in Panama together as Z4s.
Oh yeah.
And like at that time, he just wanted to get out. He's like, I don't know if the Army's for me, you know. And then 30 years later, he's like, you know, working for CENTCOM. So
yeah, he's high muckety muck.
Yeah,
you know, it happened. Well, I tell you what, you know, there's so many guys I met in LRS who went on to do much bigger and better things. I mean,
yeah. We talked a lot about that. It's impressive the amount of people that just went on and were successful. You know? It says something for mentorship, I think, at a young age.
Yeah.
You know, and having somebody, well, I mean, they smoked you, of course, all the time, but they also mentored you and taught you. So,
but great, you know, great responsibility was put on you. You know, I mean, in planning phase, I mean, we've been done those isolations, those 72-hour ISOs, and just and here you
have to
are.
regurgitate grid, you know, it's on your routes and like,
and here you are, you're some TFC nugget just out of airborne school. It's like, hey man, you're going to brief the med portion because don't fuck it up, and excuse me, don't mess it up, and you're briefing a colonel. I mean, where else is a PFC brief part of an op order to a colonel or a brief bag?
That's why the NCOPD schools like were kind of a joke. You know, like PLDC back then and VNOC and stuff. I mean, it was all, it wasn't, you'd already done more than what they were asking you to do to get
Yeah.
you to the E5 level. So
Oh, yeah.
they
Yeah.
prepped us well. They prepped us well.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, we got about 8 minutes left. And what if you could say, if there was one, what would be the most memorable experience you had in Fifth ID LRS?
Oh man, probably it was just well, I mean, Panama happened and there were, a couple clinched moments there, but probably just the best was like sitting out on the airfield waiting on the helicopter, and it's cold and foggy, and you get on the bird and they fly you around. This is Huey's, fly you around for a while, and they do, fake insertions. And then they come around and the sun's coming up and you see the water and you helo cast in, insert, and then you start humping.
Yeah.
And just hump.
Yeah.
But just stuff like that at the time, I'm like, man, it's miserable. But you look back and it was the best of times.
Absolutely.
The best,
Yeah.
Better than sitting on a track at NTC out in the middle of the desert. I can say that.
Man, fortunately, that is something I never had to do. I fingers crossed. I've had to change some tires, but I've never had to like break track.
Yeah, I never went to NTC as mechanized. Now we did Fort Polk JRTC runs and trained there all the time as just a light unit. So and the thing is, like, after being LRS at Polk, it's not a part of that post I don't know about every inch of. So that helped us out a lot. Like, oh, I know exactly where we are. We'll go this way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, don't go down that way though. That's bad. Yeah. Been there.
Well, let me say to you, man, this is great. You're doing this and interviewing all these guys. I mean, I watched the other ones you had, and I hope more of these guys step up because I want to hear all the stories that you're digging up.
Well, man, I appreciate it. And it's an honor to have you here, man. And like I said, we're going to try to do some more stories. I got some more guys lined up, and like I said earlier, I'd like to do one a week, but it's between that and regular life, it's hard to pull that off. But
if you need names, I've got names. I got names of guys that did multiple LRS units. So if you start running dry,
please don't hesitate to message me if you got my phone number, or give me a call. I'm looking for guys. We got to save these stories and we got to pass them on to the next generation. Yeah, so definitely anything you got, I'm all for. And like we were talking earlier, man, we all need to get together in Branson and drink some of that Three Rangers whiskey and tell some lies and some
embellish a lot of stories.
Well, the sad part is we tell all these screwy stories, people think we're lying.
Dude, yes.
It's like, no, man,
for years, like, you think I'm making this up? Dude, I'm not making this up. It happens like that.
Yeah, you think I'm telling you some story from a movie. We just called it Tuesday.
Right. Yes, I agree.
Well, I'll tell you what, Josh, again, thank you very much for coming on. And we'll wrap this rascal up. And
all right.
I'll definitely
thanks for having me.
Hey,
and
man,
if there's anything I can do for you, man, just give me a call.
Hey, man, just stay in the fight, keep making Little Top, and let's stay in touch, buddy.
All right. Take care, boss.
All right, freedom fighters, we got more tales from Patrol Base coming up. And all I can say is watch your six, take care of yourself, and God bless America.